Yes everyone, Johnny from Johnny's Driving School. Make sure you like, subscribe and press the bell notification.
Driver! Don't stop at all!
I'm going to give you 5 reasons. No, I'm going to give you 5 things. That don't even make sense. Wait. I'm going to give you 5 things you shouldn't be failing on your driving test. I think that makes more sense. I feel like a lot of people fail their driving test for some silly things. In England, there's not a set amount of hours that you have to do before taking your driving test. The DVLA or the DVSA, they recommend that you take about, I think it was 40 to 50 hours before taking your driving test. But obviously not everyone's the same. Some learn quick, some pick up slow, and there's not one right way of teaching. So for each person, the lesson's got to adapt. So if you find a driving instructor that can teach you to how you understand and can adapt to your understanding or teaching style, then you'll be doing like way less hours. All right, the first thing, number 1, don't go on your driving test and fail for driving in a bus lane. Bro, how? This is a bus lane. Bus lane. This is a car, this is a bus, yeah? Car, bus lane. The bus goes into the bus lane, not the car, apart from when it's out of hours. But what I say is that just avoid bus lanes, because on the test you can go across, let's say 5 different bus lanes. One bus lane might say 4 to 7 p.m. The next one says 7 to 7. The next one don't have a time or date. That means it's in operation all day. Another one says 7 till 10, 4 till 7, or 5 till whatever time. Like, just don't go on any of them, you know? Because you might have missed that one time and then you're thinking, yeah, you know what's right, let me go in. In my opinion, nobody, do you know what? All points, they're all in my opinion. But nobody should be failing for driving in a bus lane. Most of the buses are red. You're driving a car, you know? You get, like, you'll see, there's a difference between a bus stop and a bus lane. You can drive through a bus stop, but not a bus lane. You know, you're gonna have signs warning you from some distance. Just look out for the signs. And plus, if you know the area that you're doing your testing, you should know where the bus lanes are. There's not, I wouldn't say there's not many bus lanes, but a lot of them on the main roads, dual carriageway, you shouldn't be driving them. You shouldn't be driving in them. If you're turning left at a junction and there's a bus lane, wait for the bus lane to end before moving back in there. Like, especially like when you got queues of traffic, you're thinking, oh, let me just cut through and go. No, like, this is your driving test. Like, you're spending how many hours? Like, all right, let's say, going back to what I said about let's say you did 40 hours now. You're preparing for about, let's say, 35-minute test. So you're doing 40 hours practice to prepare for a 35-minute test, and you end up failing because you drove on a bus lane. Don't fall for driving the bus lane. All right, number 2 is observations. I'd say not observations because it's broad. There's loads of there's a lot of things can come into observations. It could be observation before signaling, before doing a maneuver, before moving off. But this one's more so moving off. So your blind spot checks. Yeah, the 2 main ones, over your left shoulder and over your right shoulder. Don't be moving off and you're not checking your blind spots. Especially as there's things you cover on your practical test that you've dealt with in your theory. So your blind spots, it tells you that's areas that's not covered in your mirror. You can't be driving and not checking your blind spot when moving off, because the examiner's gonna look at like, I don't know you from anywhere, you don't know me, you're taking a risk, it's just unsafe. Yeah, all it is a left shoulder check, a right shoulder check. And it's not, don't look and you're seeing the cars coming and you take a chance thinking, yeah, you know what, let me make it quickly. No, you did the check for a reason, to make sure it's safe. There's a car coming and you move off and they need to slow down or change direction, then it's not safe. For like the last 20 years, the standard agencies, they do this thing where they put out the reasons why people fail their driving tests. So they'll number it from like 1 to 10. And for like the last 20 years, observation's been number 1. But that can mean you didn't check your mirror before signaling, your mirrors, before you're moving off, before you change directions, you didn't observe properly at a junction. It could be anything. It's so broad. But you shouldn't be failing for blind spot checks. Definitely not. I don't know if I spoke about that enough. My third thing now, don't fail for getting too close to the car in front. Why do you need to be so close to the car in front? You trying to kiss the driver in front of you? What if the car in front breaks down and you're right behind it now? You gotta look at it like, cool, there's a car in front of me, and a car behind now. So if I get right up against the car in front and the car behind gets right up behind me, how am I gonna get if the car in front breaks down? Driving's about planning ahead, anticipate situations just in case something happens. And it's a silly way to fail. Like, you've prepared all this time for a 35-minute test for you to end up getting close to a car in front of you and you're failing. That's a waste of time and money. Don't be failing for that. Make sure you can see the cars, at least see the car in front's bumper when you come to a stop. Not even just like when you come to a stop, keep a distance. When it's dry, you got to keep a 2-second gap. When it's wet, it's a 4-second gap. And when it's icy, 10-second gap. When you come to a stop, make sure you can see like the bumper. So you're not, if anything happens, you could just make it around, man. Like, don't be failing for getting too close. I think they call it tailgating also. Tailgating, yeah. Tailgating, but yeah, don't be failing for that. The fourth thing now is the show me questions. So part of the show me, tell me. You can't fail for the tell me questions. You can fail for the show me questions, but not for getting the wrong answer. It's more so your action and control whilst doing it. So if the examiner asks you now, how do you switch on the rear demisters? You're driving now, you're driving. Always remember, it's when you feel safe. It's not just because the examiner said you have to do it straight away. So it's when you feel safe. That can mean you come to a stop, you're in traffic, like whatever in it, just whatever, yeah? So cool, you're driving. Let's say you're on a, I don't know, 40 road now. Now you're trying to mess with the demisters, thinking, no, this is the wrong one. So your focus is here now to a point where you're missing out what's happening on the road. Now there's a car in front of you, or you're drifting over lanes, and the examiner has to take control. Yeah, so that's what I mean with don't fail for the show me question. Get practice with the show me question. So whilst you're driving, ask your instructor to ask you the show me questions. So practice it whilst you're driving, not when you're stationary. That's not effective. So yeah, don't be failing for losing control whilst you're doing the show me questions. Last one. All right, this one, I don't know if it's fair to say it, but I don't think people should be failing for their speed, so their use of speed or appropriate speed. So driving too fast or driving too slow. Yes, you can fail for driving too slow. If you're in a 30 zone and you're driving at 20, straight fail. If there's no reason for you to be driving at 20, it's an instant fail, you know? Drive at the speed limit. Don't try to drive at 25, 26. If you can get at 30, if it's safe to do so, drive at 30. Also, that's another thing as well. It's the speed limit is the speed limit if it's safe to do so. So if you're on a road and there's loads of lorries kind of thing, cars parked up, and you're on a 30 road, chances are you won't be able to do 30. It doesn't mean just because it says 30, fly down the road. You fail for that. Speed on approach as well. So that's when you're coming up to, let's say like a junction, and you've approached it too quick. You can fail for it. Like, what? Have you got a flight to catch? Why are you driving so fast? You got to look out for your speed limits. And a lot of the times, the speed limit stays the same until you see a new speed limit. So if you turn into a road and it says 20, and you've made 5 more turns and you haven't seen no speed limit, it's still a 20 road, more than likely. It also might have meant that you missed the speed limit as well. If you've been practicing in the area that your test is in, you shouldn't be failing for speed, because you should pretty much know the area. Go through it with your instructor. There's YouTube videos on test routes and that, like, thoroughly watch them. So it's going to help you. Like, you don't want to be practicing all these hours and you end up failing because you're driving too slow. Like, they're poor reasons for you to be failing your driving test. Driving in the bus lane, driving at the appropriate speed or use of speed, getting close to the car in front, not checking your blind spots before moving off. All the time and effort that you put in for your driving test, you go and fail on those reasons. Like it's the fail's got to be fail worthy, you know. Don't be failing them. Work on them. Like even not even just them kind of things. Your weaknesses in your lessons. When you get feedback from your instructor, work on your weaknesses, because you don't want them popping up in your driving test and then it's costing you. Yeah, so work on your weaknesses. Don't be failing for them 5 points I gave. They're all in my opinion. Good luck with your driving test. Remember to like and subscribe. Wish you all the best.